For generations, the country's elite has been formed by a uniquely British institution, the private boarding school. Here, children as young as 8 are sent away by their parents to get the best education money can buy. We followed 4 of the youngest boarders through the highs and lows of their first term, away from home. How did they and their families cope with the separation? Today will be April Ross's first day at boarding school.
This is my best sleeping bag. And these are my best knickers. I like kitty knickers. There is a real horse inside this.
Is there?
Yeah.
Where?
There's wood covering it up, but there's a real horse inside it. Well, I think there is.
The Rosses are an army family who have frequently moved around the country. They've already sent their 11-year-old son, Alex, to boarding school to give him some stability. Now, Mum Sandra is dreading the thought of also sending her daughter.
Is she? Or not? It's difficult. It's going to really, really crucify me, but I feel that it's a sacrifice I'm making, and I'm hoping that in the future it will prove to be for April's benefit.
Will you just go upstairs, please, and just check there's nothing in your room that you want to take?
Oh, Mummy.
I need my reading glasses. A little hug. Whenever you are feeling sad and things aren't going right and your usual happy smile has slipped right out of sight.
Oh, Mummy.
I'm all right. No, Mummy's silly, isn't she? Here's a little hug from me if I cannot be there because I want you to know just how much I care. OK?
You're crying.
No, I'm not. Do you know why I'm crying? Because I'm happy. Gosh, get tearful thinking of it. I miss having breakfast every morning. I miss having to watch children's TV, Hannah Montana on the TV all the time. I'm going to miss just chasing around after her. I'm going to miss, certainly going to miss kissing her goodnight. Gosh, everything. I just don't really want to think about it, actually. I can't really... I've sort of put that in a little box at the moment, and I'll just deal with that when it happens. But I'm going to really miss her. She's my little soulmate. She really is.
I love you.
I love you too. I love you too.
April will be going to Highfield in Hampshire, one of the country's top prep schools.
Really bramble in the car.
From today, she'll be living in a dorm with 3 other 8-year-old girls. They're all new to boarding, and this year they happen to all come from army families. Twins, Caitlin and Simone, are the first in their family to go to boarding school. Like the Rosses, their parents are sending them to Highfield in the hope that staying in one place will do them good.
We went to Germany when they were 6 months old, came back when they were 7. And with my job at the moment, with another possible 2-3 moves until I finish in the forces, first one being a year today, I'll be moving, we thought, no, let's really look into the boarding side of life.
April's other new dorm mate is Lottie. Her dad went to boarding school from a young age. He's keen that his daughter should do the same, although her mum, Sarah, is still reluctant.
They need some
Never. Never. I swore from the day she was born that no child of mine would go to boarding school. But Jeremy boarded, but from 13, so he was very keen, loved it, and ever since we'd had children, he quite wanted them all to board, and I just said no, and now he's one.
Oh,
Hi, darling.
bye.
Bye, darling.
Bye.
Go with your friends. Have fun. Take care. Have a great time.
Yes, I've got a 9 minutes. That was just an open line.
It's so stupid. Why do I get so upset? She's having a lovely time.
She's a little girl to me. You wouldn't be right if you didn't.
Oh, I know. I know. Is it Caitlin's?
No, it's all of us.
Right, okay.
Times 2. What are you doing now? My life.
The children are now the responsibility of Mr. Hesselmann, the housemaster in charge of juniors at Highfield.
Girls, we don't seem to be getting on. I've already put the boys' lights out.
I'm going to do what Will said.
He's been looking after new boarders for the past 10 years.
Going to bed now.
Hi.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Mostly the first few days, it's all so exciting and busy that sort of gets you through. Then later in the term, yeah, when things have seemed to have gone on smoothly, the homesickness can come up all of a sudden. It's always there in the back of your minds that, you know, that's going to be an issue for somebody at some point.
Whilst the girls get used to their new surroundings, at home, the absence of the children is beginning to sink in.
I didn't realise I'd be quite so anxious now about... I'm really anxious about not missing her calling. Just, I've only had her for 8 years and I don't want to let go yet. And most mummies find it hard when their children are 18. Obviously I want to hear if she's not happy, but you know, it would break my heart if such a double-edged sword, because I'm dying to hear if she's not happy. I want to know. I don't want them not to tell me. But I think she probably is happy. It's so weird to carry on talking when you're feeling emotional. At this point, I usually run off and find a tissue. But even with her being happy, it's weird her not being part of my life now, really. She's too young.
Morning, girls. How was it?
Good.
Got to sleep all right?
It's 8-year-old April Ross's first morning at boarding school.
How was your first night, girls?
Good. So I kept on rolling around to my bed. I cried the first night. So she came and woke me up.
April's sharing a dorm with twins Caitlin and Simone and Lottie.
The pots are exactly the same.
Okay, you fours. Are we all ready to rock and roll? Harrison? Okay. Let's go. Remember, we've all gained a really big family. We all watch for each other now.
At breakfast, the girls meet the 100 older children who also board at Highfield. For Simone, who cried in the night, it's all too much, and the staff step in to help her.
You know, there is no magic cure for homesickness. There's no wand that we can wave to make it go away. There's no medicine we can give them for homesickness. It really is a matter of They just have to learn to cope with it. They have to learn to develop coping mechanisms and strategies, obviously with our help and our guidance. If we could pop them a pill every night, we would, to take away their homesickness, but that doesn't exist.
To help the boarders get through the separation, the school tries to keep them as busy as possible. A full day of lessons is followed by extra one-to-one tuition. And evening activities aimed at bringing out the pupils' maximum potential.
If anyone's going to feel homesick, it's often at the times when things are quiet. And in fact, they have to do an after-school activity every day of the week, all through the year in the junior house, around with other people, so you don't have a chance to disappear off on your own too much.
By tea time, Simone is feeling better.
You've had a fun day today. Now we're gonna, if you would like, we're gonna go and have a quick swim. Free swim. You can go to the change room, get ready for swimming. We'll have a little bit of a free swim.
But at the end of a busy day, Simone's homesickness returns. The school nurse, Mrs. Dunn, is on hand to comfort the children.
Hello. Hi. How are you? Where's your bed? Which is your bed? I can't remember now. Is this you? This morning, she came up after breakfast because she really didn't eat very much at breakfast. She's been utterly miserable at breakfast since she arrived. But she came up and we just had a little chat about how it's really, really normal to feel like that. And it would be extraordinary if you didn't miss, you know, being away from home. We had a chat about that and how it will get easier, and you know the tricks are to keep yourself really busy and get yourself really tired. In fact, April buddied up with Simone today, and I think that helped too. Dun dun dun. To be continued.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
In order to settle the boarders as quickly as possible, for the first week, the school urges parents not to call their children.
It's very difficult because often a child that is homesick will naturally play up to their parent on the telephone because the contact, hearing the voice, that contact always makes children far more emotional. So we do try to advise the parents that, you know, actually they really do just have to sit back and trust us. And the difficulty is handing over the responsibility of their children to somebody else.
I don't want to go to bed.
You have to try and persuade the parent that actually they might know their child better than I do, but I know the environment and the situation that they're in better than they do.
Letters from home are a high point for the children.
Jossie Bagshaw, here we go. Dear Lottie, how are you? How is school? We guess that when you read this, you will have been at school for a day or so.
The school regularly updates the families on the boarders' progress. After hearing of Simone's homesickness, her parents are finding it hard to hold off from calling her.
We're asking them, like, when do you think's the best time for us to ring, or, yeah, to ring them and things. And it was that, give them a few days. We usually say several days or so. I thought, oh, OK, then. So then we're sat around each night wondering what they're doing.
We've never not spoken to them. And I wondered if it's been explained to them that why we're not ringing. And even now, we haven't got them the phone cards ready yet. And I think, do they know that they're on the way and then they can... But I'm just worried that things weren't explained to them.
OK, we've got another very, very busy afternoon of sport this afternoon. A mere 20 fixtures going on. We've got hockey and football and netball. Very, very best of luck to all our teams. We've had some great results so far this season.
Parents can visit their children once a week, after sports matches, on Wednesday afternoons. Seven days since Lottie left home, her mother Sarah has jumped at the opportunity.
God. It's so weird to feel nervous about seeing your own daughter.
It's the first visit from a parent since the girls started boarding. April's mum is working and can't get to see her.
Hello, darling.
Oh. Is April coming with us? Is April coming with us? Is April coming with us?
Do you want to come with us?
Yeah.
Yeah? Would you like April to come with us? Yeah, that would be great.
I got to go and get changed.
OK, where shall I see you? Shall I see you in the atrium? OK.
OK,
Go get changed.
Sarah.
Bye, see you in a minute.
The twins' parents also can't make it.
Right, come on then. Bring Basil. Nice to see you, Simone.
We're going around the world. We won't be back until maybe a couple, 100 years.
And as Sarah takes the girls out for a treat, the twins are left behind in the boarding house.
Crying because she can't see her mum. And Lottie can.
You're going to see your mum on Friday, aren't you? Yeah. What are you guys going to do now, though? The school give you tuck and stuff, don't they? That'll be fun.
Yeah.
What time's that at?
Maybe when we come back.
Oh, Lottie, you're looking so grown up.
My saddest bit is going to bed because you open your eyes and you try to think that you're in your own bed and you open your eyes and you think, oh, I'm not here. I'm not in my home. I'm not going out. Is Mummy here? There's the bed.
Boarders can only leave the grounds for an hour, and their visit is soon over.
Bye. Bye.
In the next few days, the routine continues, and the girls begin to realize that their lives have changed.
You're here all the time now, and it's like home from home, really.
What's the worst bit about it, or what's the most difficult bit about it?
Not seeing your mum, that's the only bit.
Do you miss her?
Yeah. Yeah. I've been without my mum for 2 days already, but not for a week.
Is it harder than you thought?
Yeah. Much harder.
What's been on your mind most since you've been at school?
Waiting to see Mum. That's all, really.
Ten long days after the start of term, April's mum Sandra is on her way to pick up her daughter.
Oh, sorry.
All four girls are going home to spend the weekend with their parents.
Don't recognise this person.
You went to go and get pizza?
Yeah.
Wow. And Strictly Come Dancing starts tonight.
Yes!
Don't realise how much I missed you until you come home. But we worked it out. It's nice though, isn't it? Because now we just have lots of special time.
Yeah.
Every time you come home, yeah?
When we go back to school, how long am I at home for?
Well, you go back to school.
Yeah.
And then you've got a whole week at school, and then you've got Water Wars is on Sunday.
Yeah.
And you want to do that, don't you? That's the...
No, I don't want to come back.
You want... Well, we'll see. We'll see. And then you go back to school and you've got about another couple of weeks or something, and then you've got half term. So you've got another whole week at home. What do you think of that?
Cool.
Yeah, is that okay? Yeah. So we'll just sort of break it down into little bite sizes every time, yeah?
Yeah.
And then that way you don't miss Mummy too much and I don't miss you, and I can come down and see you on Wednesday.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes, yeah? Good girl.
I want me to come in.
It's coming. Not writing. How about I just get in like that, yeah?
8-year-old April Ross is at home with her mum, Sandra, for the first time since she started at boarding school.
But now you have to take them home.
I know, and we're going to have a lovely weekend, okay?
Okay.
Right, night-night, darling. God bless, darling.
Night-night. God bless.
See you in the morning.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
April's brother Alex has been a boarder at the same school for the last 2 years.
Yeah, I'm fine at the moment.
Most weekends he chooses to stay in the boarding house rather than go back to his parents.
Well, right now we're doing Alpha Force and we dress up as terrorists and we run around the boarding house pretending to be terrorists. I ring her mainly every Wednesday and Saturday because on Wednesday and Saturday are where my matches are, so then I can tell her if I won or lost. Yeah, so look, I'm the bossy.
Why are you
Because we just
dressed like that?
No, Taliban. I'm gonna blow the place up.
Really? I wouldn't say that because you're not really the Taliban, are you? Let's face it.
Yeah, we're not. We're just shielding our face. It's called Alpha Force. Yeah.
Why are you shielding your face?
Because then if the staff catch us, they don't know who it is. They can't tell us off.
Actually. They always
Okay,
know
ready?
who it is.
Right, let's go and get them. Alpha Force, go, go, go.
Okay, go.
He's Taliban! What the hell?
The Rosses hope that April will enjoy boarding as much as her brother. But as they take her back to school for the first time, it's still early days for both mother and daughter.
Okay, sweetheart. So if I put that on my bed. Let's go then.
And then
There you go.
hold for a bit.
I'm just going to quickly make sure the chocolate. You want to get
Right, come on, you made a promise, didn't we, yeah? Look what you're doing, making Mummy cry. Okay, no more tears, okay? Yeah, be a big girl. Bye-bye, sweetheart.
I'll see you on Wednesday.
Just remember, I love you so much. See you Wednesday. I'll phone you tomorrow, or you phone me, okay? You be alright? Come on,
yes,
just remember for Mummy, yeah? Good girl, I love you. Alright, I'll see you Wednesday, darling, okay?
Well, get your pyjamas.
Bye, sweetheart. Bye-bye. Bye. She'll be fine. Come on. She had such a good week last week. She was on such a high. She came home on such a high.
Yeah.
And then Saturday morning she woke up and she came into my bed. And of course Fraser had gone, because Fraser had gone at the crack of dawn. And she just broke into floods of tears and just said, "Oh, Mummy, you know, I just missed you so much." And she said, "You know, I love Highfield," she said, "but I just hate boarding. You never want to see your children upset, you know, about anything. And when it's something that maybe you've sort of
inflicted on them.
Inflicted. Just makes you feel really bad."
You're not a wicked mother, honey. You're not.
No, but it's just, no, I know. But sometimes you feel it. Sometimes you feel it.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll give it time and we'll see. I'm sure we'll get there.
As the term progresses, the girls are beginning to get used to life in the school.
Oh, I can't. Oh, hey, don't do that. Maybe you shouldn't have the same people.
Lottie's settling in particularly well. She's taking a lead role in the dorm. And her mother, Sarah, is becoming a convert to boarding.
What I'm getting is really lovely time when we're appreciating each other, and I'm not having the shouting at her to get ready in the morning and shouting at her to do her homework, and we just seem to be having the nice time together, which is lovely. I'm really lucky. I hope it works as well for Henry. Debating at the moment whether or not to send him as a day boy or a boarder, but I'm quite inspired to send him boarding by Lottie's experience and the fact that she'll be there to look after him a bit.
Twins Caitlin and Simone are becoming more confident and appear to be adapting well to their first taste of public school.
Have they changed since the beginning of term?
Well, I don't know that much, really.
Well, now Caitlin says gas mask instead of gas mask. And she talks about France.
And in fact, yeah, I do remember that. There's some of the words I've like, ooh,
yeah.
that's well spoken and things, so.
But after her first visit home, April is finding it more difficult.
Do you feel sick because you feel ill, or do you feel sick because you're upset? Why are you upset?
Because I really am.
Right, should we think about when you're going to see her again, yeah? You always want to, but then you end up having a really good time. Do you? Yeah. So you just need to think of the fun that you're going to have. Yeah? And try and not think about home, which I know is difficult. Yeah? But you have to try. So you're going to try and go to sleep?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay.
And try not to be upset?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay.
Promise?
Promise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
Good night.
Good night. Nice knowing that, Caitlin.
April's developed a strong attachment to Ms. King, a gap-year student who helps out in the junior boarding house. She was a boarder herself from a young age and knows how tough it can be.
I started boarding school when I was 9 and I left when I was 18, and I was on the phone to my mum every night begging her to come and get me. She never did, ever, which I didn't like.
You only allowed 1 rebound.
April's brother Alex also struggled with homesickness when he started boarding. This weekend he's left the school to go to his best friend's house.
Do you think it makes it worse if you keep going home?
Yeah, I think so. That's why I stay in quite a lot. Not only because it's fun activities, because I know if I go home and then I come back and then I think, oh, I miss Mum now because I've seen Mum. And then, because if you don't see your parents for quite a long time, you gradually get used to it. Whereas if you keep seeing your parents, you keep saying, I want to see Mum again, I want to see Mum again. But because I see Mum maybe, I'm at school for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, then I get more used to being away from Mum. But April goes home every weekend, so she sees Mum for a weekend and then she thinks, oh, I really want to see Mum again in the week. So I think that makes it a lot harder.
What's it like being back in your room?
I love it.
Do you?
I love my room.
What's the best things about being at home?
Well, seeing your mum doing everything, really. Not doing schoolwork, not being waked up at 7 in the morning, having more hugs, well, being hugged and stuff. I don't like going back to school.
Soon, April won't be able to come home as often as she'd like. The Rosses have recently learned that the army will be moving them 3 hours away from the school.
When we move, Fraser's going to be in Afghanistan. My 2 children are being around in Hampshire at school. I'm stuck in Suffolk. And I think I'm going to feel really sort of like a real redundant mum. I'm going to feel it's going to be wrong. School bags, school shoes. Yeah.
Where are school shoes?
They're in here. Okay. That's the main thing.
The plan is for April to stay in school for most of next term. So the Rosses need her to settle as soon as possible.
Coming down.
You're fine when Mum's gone.
Right, let's just get this done now.
Do you want me to leave you too?
No, you can help me.
April, let Mum just crack on.
Right, you're going to help me do this. Can you put those in your box for me, please? And this is your drawer.
You don't expect.
Hey,
your parents come on there. 4,010.
Come on, you.
Anyway, it's being delayed by me. That's been the problem.
Right,
have a great week.
Let's take this
I'll
off
see you Wednesday. I'll see you on Wednesday. Good girl.
I'll take your boots off and go down and play. Okay, go on then, off we go.
Bye-bye, darling.
No, you'll just tell me.
Okay, it's lost. Okay, we've got to go now, so I've got to sort Alex out. Okay, there, you go and play with it. I finished it, darling. I finished it. Go on. Go.
Right,
I love you. See you Wednesday. In the atrium on Wednesday. Cheerio, sweetie. Cheerio. Bye, darling.
Are we in need of another?
Cheerio, everyone. See you later.
Bye, Sandra.
Bye-bye.
Just watch the business.
But as she goes through the second half of term, things don't get any better for April.
No. I know you do. And she probably misses you too. But you're seeing her tomorrow.
Supposed to be doing your bed.
That was not going to be though.
Here we go.
No, it's not.
I know, let's ban the words.
Okay.
You're gonna
banish
smack.
the word I.
No, you're just gonna banish the word Miss Mummy.
What do you do? Can you remember? So those.
And you missed the word cry. And I mean, no, you didn't miss the word cry.
See, you just said the banished words.
Yeah, you just said it. Smack her.
Lottie's not very happy with you now.
The Rosses are so concerned that they're now beginning to question whether they were right to send April to boarding school in the first place.
Every week I sit here with Fraser and I say, right, look, we've got to have plan B. I am going to be looking into local schools so that if it doesn't work out, then when we move in March, that April will come with us. But I actually, it's a heart and a head. Which one rules? My head says that actually, you know, long term and for everything for April, the best thing is that she stays where she is and we just grizz it and we get there eventually. But then my heart kicks in and sort of says, but how long do you kid yourself that it's actually going to be okay? How long do you actually give yourself before it you know, you do draw the line?
It's November in the boarding house, and 8-year-old April Ross is struggling to get over her homesickness. To make matters worse, she's feeling unwell.
Any of this is bothering you or upsetting you, will you come and find me in the surgery and talk to me about it and let me know, because it's really, really difficult for Mummy and Daddy. They, you know, when they hear you so upset, because they're, you know, a fair way away, they can't do anything, but they want to help you and they hate to hear you like this. Okay.
Don't wake them up.
In a final attempt to settle her, Sandra has decided to limit her contact with April.
Okay. Well, she's here now, and I will have a good chat.
So tonight, it's April's father, Fraser, who's calling to check up on her.
Would you like to say that accidentally? Okay, I'll just hand you back to her. Bye-bye, Fraser.
Daddy, have you spoken to Mrs. Dunn?
Evening.
It's been a heartbreaking decision for Sandra, especially at a time when her daughter is feeling vulnerable.
First of all, I'm really sorry, and I'm sorry you're so upset. You know, Fraser was explaining how upset you are, and it's so difficult, isn't it? You know, and you and April are so close, and when she's upset, you're heartbroken. But I think the toughest thing for you is you're, you know, 20, 30 miles away. You know, you have to have your trust in us that, you know, we're looking after April.
The school rallies round April and are convinced that Sandra's making the right decision.
Because Edinburgh Zoo is brilliant.
We're the one that the children come to, we're the shoulders that they cry on, you know, all that sort of thing. And I think the mums can feel slightly detached. And they do feel like they've been sidelined because they don't have automatic access to them. And they have to put their trust in us, and we have to try and impress upon them that we do know what we're talking about. And to have to say to a parent, actually, you know, if you want to find out how your child is doing, contact me, phone me in the boarding office or contact me via email, but please, you know, try not to phone too much into the house, because actually because your child is perfectly happy, and then the call comes through and then they just plummet, quite frankly. And then we have to scoot them up and off we go again.
I feel quite redundant at times, and I do miss the children, you know, just there's no other way to say it. It's just tough. Yeah, you know, I miss them, so it's not easy. It creates a void in your life that you just have to fill. And I haven't quite worked out how I'm filling it properly yet. Although I am starting to do the local pub quiz, I'm getting quite good at that, so that's got to be a plus. But it's a funny sort of existence, really.
As autumn becomes winter, the girls become closer, and April appears to be getting over the separation.
Why do you want to give me away? Well, hello, madam. Gotcha. Oh, no. Yeah, this is rubbish.
Now that you're at the end of the first term, what was it like?
It was scary, and I was excited, and it's fun. We will always miss our mum. But sometimes you forget about them and then you feel okay. Yeah. Because you forget about them and you say, oh, let's stay at the weekend. Yeah. There are people that don't miss their mum and dads. But
What do you think about that?
I just think it's strange. But, I mean, they're at boarding school and of course your mums and dads sent them there to... I don't really know, but if you don't miss your mum, it's kind of unnatural. So, very unnatural. That was like, oh, that was dotty this one. Wow! Is it my favourite? Look!
April seems to have found a new way of coping. She's got a new best friend, Lottie.
How are you two?
Fine. 2 minutes of silence. You're not allowed to talk.
Oh, I do want you to talk.
2 minutes of silence.
Talk for me, please. Useless.
I sometimes feel really homesick.
And
Same
I
here.
would like to go home.
At some point, I did say to my mum, can I come to Suffolk with you? But only at one point, and then I just said, actually, it's not that bad. But you won't, the only time you get really, really bad is on the phone.
No, the really, really bad bit is at bedtime.
Yeah, bedtime and saying goodbye to your mum is so bad. Apart from the one here, because that was really quick. I just ran upstairs, can I have a kiss? Mwah, sure, bye. And that was the only thing that I didn't cry, but...
So do you think that you're learning that the best thing is to just get it over and done with quite quickly?
Yeah.
It's the last day of term, and all of the girls' parents have come to watch them in the Christmas play. Caitlin, Simone, Lottie and April will return to Highfield next year to continue their new lives as boarders.
I think they're doing really well, and it's nice that they're with April and Lottie because they're getting on so well. I wish there was 10 more April and Lotties in that house. That's because I think the people around them definitely help.
It's been so much better than I thought it would be. The whole thing has just been such a resounding success that and I'm thrilled. Very proud of her.
A couple of weeks ago, we took her back on a Sunday, and she was fab, actually. She was brilliant, and it was the first time that we didn't sort of have the tears and the build-up to it. She doesn't rely on me so much, which, it's selfish for me to say it's hard, because it is hard, but it's actually lovely to see her growing up and developing. What I don't know is the long-term effect. I don't want April, whether she be 13 or 14 or 18 or whatever, turn around and say, oh, but Mum, you and Daddy, you sent me off to school when I was too young, and I really, that it's got a profound effect on her later. So, you know, I still battle with it and I still don't know what the right answer is.